Now we're going to build in our login screen and start to add some functionality where we can actually navigate to our home screen. To start, I'm going to dissect this like we normally do so we understand how we're building this responsibly. To start, again, this is just one giant column. The first section of the column is as follows. It's a column as well, and it has text on top of each other. Under that is another section. This whole thing can be construed as one section, a column of its own. Here we have another column which has text and then an input under it. We have the same exact thing here, except the text and input are slightly different. Another item here, which is just a left aligned row. Then we have another section. It's just center aligned row with this button. And the button is composed of text and then a little icon next to it in a row format. Under all of that is another little item which has text. Let's build this. I'm going to start by going to the page selector and then clicking create a new page. Now Flutterflow comes handily with a lot of sign-on pages, and you can use those if you like, but we're just going to say create blank, and this is going to be page login. I'm going to delete the app bar, and there's already a column built in. We can start building. I'm going to add some padding to all sides. I'm going to add 24 pixels, so right off the bat there's just some nice padding separating the different sections. Then I'm going to drag a container in, and this is going to be our header. It's going to be this top part that says, hello, welcome back. I'm going to expand this to infinite width and drag another column in there like we identified. From here, there are going to be two pieces of text. I'm going to drag them in. Back to this column, I'm going to make the cross-axis alignment left aligned so they're split like this. This text is just going to read hello, comma, and I'm going to make it 30 pixels and semi-bold. Under that is some more text. This will read welcome back. This is 20 pixels and medium. Back on this header, I'm just going to remove the height so it contracts to fit the text and make it our white color. Then under that is another section, which is going to be the bulk of the actual form element. Again, infinite width, and I'm going to let the height expand in a little bit. I'm going to drag another column into this container and name this form, and let's just make it white right off the bat. I'm going to drag another container in. This is email. This can be infinite width as well. Email is a column of its own. It seems like some of the things that we're doing is repetitive, like having a whole nother section for form instead of just stacking things normally, but this really helps everything stay organized. Okay, back to this email section. We need two things here. One is a text, and then under that is input, which we can find down here in the form elements. It's just this text field. I'm going to start by going on the column, make everything right aligned so we can make our text, our black 14 pixels, and normal weight. This text will just read email. I'm going to remove the default padding that comes with this. Make this say enter email. I'm going to go back to this email field. Let's make this white again. And now this label, our enter email can be 11 pixels gray and normal weight. I'm going to say the border is an outline, and I'm going to make it our light gray color. That looks good. And let's just make the border width 1 so it's a lot lighter. These two look a little squished if you ask me, so I'm going to add 8 pixels of spacing in between. In addition, this header up here and then our form right under it looks squished as well. So let's go ahead and add 24 pixels of space in between those. Now this email that we have here, I'm going to copy it and paste it back into this column. I'm going to go back on this form, remove the height so it just contracts. And on this form, I'm going to remove the height as well so it expands to fit both of these. Now this column can have some gap spacing as well. Let's do 16 pixels. This one is the password field. So instead of saying enter email here, it's going to say enter password. And I'm going to add one more thing. So if we scroll down to additional properties, we can say that this is a password field. So when you type something in, it'll automatically turn into those circles so you can't really see it. I can also add a toggle icon in here. You can see it pop up in the corner there. You might need to play around with the size a little. And you can change the color of that as well, but I personally don't want that, so I'm just going to remove it. Here we can see that there's a little forgot password, so I'm going to add that in on this column. I'm just going to click add and add some text, and we see it appear at the bottom there. Now if we look here, there's also this forgot password. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. I'm going to rename this password. In our password container, there's a column, and I'm going to click on that column and add a text. It adds a text to the bottom there. We want this to be our yellow color in 11 pixel font, and this is going to just say forgot password with the question mark. This password field, I'm going to go ahead and remove the height so it expands to fit it. I think it's a little too squished, so I'm just going to go ahead and add 8 pixels of padding on the top. Now there's that nice little space. Now we can see we need a button. You can add a container and then add the button in the container, but I'm just going to go ahead and drag in the button directly. This button should stretch all the way across. I'm going to remove this padding on both sides. I'm going to make this button 55 pixels across. There's a default elevation. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that and make it 0. I don't want a border. I'm going to remove that as well. And now we can go to the text. This text is going to say sign in. I'm going to make it 16 pixels, semi-bold in this white color. If we wanted to add the icon here, I would just go down here to icon, search for arrow, this side one, and add it in. But I'm just going to leave it like this because I like the clean look. The last and final thing is under here, this don't have an account, sign up. For this, I'm actually going to drag a row in so we can have 2 things of text next to each other. This row is going to be center aligned. The first text is going to be black 11 pixels, and the second one is going to be 11 pixels of our yellow color. This will say, don't have an account, and this says sign up. I'm just going to go ahead and add in 8 pixels of spacing in between the two. I'm going to go ahead, right now the padding's 24, I'm going to increase it to 32. You can play around with it a little more, but I'm liking how it looks. And I want to move on to the next part where we can actually add in some functionality. So right now we're on the sign-in page, and you would assume that after the user signs in, they need to be redirected somewhere. We're going to handle authentication, user authentication in a later video, but today let's work on navigation. When they click this button, I want them to be transported to our home page. Let's try this out. on this button, I'm going to go here, a tab we haven't used before. This is the Actions tab. You can open the Action Flow editor and add a couple of these different things. For now, we just want to use an action. So this is saying on tap when the button is clicked. We are going to, and the first option is navigate to a given page, and we're just going to choose the home page. And that's it. If you look at this Action Flow editor more, you can go ahead and add in more actions. There are a bunch of different options, and we'll play around with some of the main ones in a bit. But for now, this one navigation action is all we need. But how do you test this out? Because clicking this right now doesn't do anything. You're going to want to go here to the test mode and just click on it. This is going to bring you to a new window, like so, where you can test out your application. It'll take a little time to set up a testing session. I'll check back in with you when it's done. Okay, and this is the screen that you get. You can see our whole home screen. I'm seeing that we should probably have some more padding on the top. Here we have the app preview. We can see our whole screen, and we can actually interact with it, like type in text. Over here is our debug panel, where we can see a couple things like our screen width and size, which changes as we change the screen size. And then widget state. So here we have a text field, and as I type stuff in it, that's reflected in the widget state of this text field. So the state is basically whatever is in it. If there's nothing, then it's empty. But if I type in some text, you can see it reflected here. But we wanted to see the login page, and I don't see any way to navigate. What do? Well, we want to go down here to settings and then make our entry page our login page. What this does is when we click instant reload, we are then by default brought to our login page as opposed to the other thing. Now here I can pretend to log in, toggle like so, and then click sign in. What this is going to do is navigate me to our home page. And that's it. In this lesson, you configured actions, added navigation, and practiced building responsively. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to set up the database so we can build up to adding in user authentication. So our login screen actually allows the user to log in.